Hello there, my name is Evelyn, and today we will be discussing perks that need a lot of changes. Dead by Daylight has a lot of perks, but many of them go unused due to them not being very viable. This new series, Rework That Perk, is here to propose changes to these perks that would make them more popular with players. I'm mostly going to go over perks that need complete overhauls, but I might save perks that simply need numerical changes for another time. So, let's get right into it. The first perk that I think needs an update is Knockout. Knockout attempts to help killers slug the survivors and make sure that they can't get picked up easily by their teammates by denying them of aura reading. However, this is completely thrown out the window by playing with comms. All you have to do if you're playing with friends is say, "I'm at X, pick me up," and this perk becomes completely worthless. I think to make this perk worthwhile, you should activate on special attacks and basic attacks, and have the downed survivor's screen be pitch black until another survivor comes within 16 meters of them, while keeping everything else about the perk intact. That way, they won't be able to say where they are, which will make this perk effective against Survive with Friends too, which is really important. The next perk we'll be going over is Forced Penance. This perk is just terribly designed. If someone is taking a protection hit, they are likely trying to prevent you from tunneling someone. So, if this person that is trying to take the hit is broken and you chase them being broken has zero effect. That means that you're supposed to tunnel the person that they were protecting, which is just bad for gameplay. This also means that once the survivors see you have Forced Penance, they won't be taking any more protection hits because they don't want to be broken anyways. The only time this perk sees use is when survivors have borrowed time and get in your face when they're unhooked, but this will likely only happen once, and having an entire perk slot for someone to maybe be broken once is just awful. Due to the fact that since once survivors don't take protection hits anymore once they see you have Forced Penance, I think the effect of this perk should be very strong. I think that instead of applying being broken for 80 seconds, it should be for the remainder of the trial. That would make it so it doesn't encourage tunneling, as there's still a reason to go for the person taking the protection hit, and it would make it worth using, as many games go without a single protection hit, kind of like Blood Warden, giving a huge risk-reward factor. It would be a huge detriment too, as the people who take protection hits tend to be very altruistic, and this would make it much more difficult for them to play this way. I really like the idea of Sole Survivor, however this perk is beyond situational. It requires the killer to not only bring aura reading perks, but also for you to be doing poorly, which is obviously not desirable. The idea of this perk itself is also quite situational. Here's my idea for its rework. For each sacrificed or dead survivor, gain a token. 1 token hides your aura from the killer. 2 tokens makes you not make any injured noises like Iron Will. It would show the aura on the nearest chest with a 100% chance of having a purple key, and 3 makes it so you do not leave scratch marks. I do not think that this would make the perk meta at all, but the idea of this perk is already quite situational. It would at the very least contribute to the idea of the final girl more this way, and it would be more interesting to use. Now, we have Boil Over. I have no idea why I see this perk ran so much, even in high ranks. It's not as common as something like Borrowed Time, but I probably see this perk once every 10 games, which is ridiculous considering how awful it is. I think all that Boil Over needs to be decent is to essentially have a breakout effect on yourself, by adding an increase to the wiggle free progression by 10%, and increasing the hook aura range to about 24 meters instead of just 14 meters, because those 14 meters are almost useless. I don't think that this would make this perk all that strong, as if you get knocked by a hook, the killer will just see the hook anyways, and the lack of aura reading and bonus to wiggle progress will be meaningless, but I do think it would strengthen it a lot and deserve to be ran as often as it is. Lastly, we have Kudu Grass. I think that the biggest flaw with this perk, and unfortunately a decent amount of perks in this game, is that it requires you to be doing poorly. What the perk actually does is really useful, but you don't get to use it as much as you should in my opinion. So, I would like to propose 2 changes to it. First off, make it so that you gain a token whenever you hook someone. This would reward playing well obviously, and second off, you don't lose the token if you lunge and would have been able to hit the attack without coup. This perk currently forces you to only use basic attacks as well when you don't want to use a token, which is just bad game design. It's like it balances out. Sometimes you get to use long lunges, but in order to do this, you must sacrifice any lunges at all, which just makes for a bad perk that nobody wants to use. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you'd like to see more perks reworked, feel free to leave a comment. Have a good day!